Good morning. Welcome to Tuesday morning. And it's March the 1st already, 2022. And today, as I told you yesterday, we're going to begin a look at The Imitation of Christ. The Imitation of Christ by Thomas à Kempis. This particular edition is from the 40s, from the 80s. The book itself is taken from a revised translation which has made use of all available English versions for comparison with the Latin text based on the 1441 manuscript in Thomas à Kempis's own hand. If you're not familiar, let me read just the back cover here. It's a revised translation, easy to understand English. The Imitation of Christ has enjoyed an unparalleled place in the world of books for more than 500 years, and second only to the Bible itself. Estimates of the number of published editions run between 3,000 and 5,000, and it is said to have been translated into almost every language in the world. Read and applauded by kings and queens and men and women of letters and religious leaders of every sort. It contains sound counsel for everyone who seeks to live a more integrated whole life. The book transcends its time and geographical origins, which was old Germany, even the author's individuality. It becomes a document for all times, speaking to the perennial human condition and dealing with the issues of our human need and the transforming power of Jesus Christ. I'd encourage you, because we're going to be in this for a bit, and I would encourage you to look up Thomas à Kempis. I'd encourage you to particularly look up The Imitation of Christ. It's divided into a few different sections. The first one is admonitions useful for a spiritual life. I'm going to assume we might all be interested in that. Admonitions useful for a spiritual life. So chapter 1, and every little point is divided into a chapter. Chapter 1 is entitled On the Imitation or Following of Christ and Contempt of all the vanities of the world. Each little lesson, each section has a Bible reference with it. He who follows me, says the Lord, will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. John 8:12. These are the words of Christ, by which we are taught to follow his life and way of life if we would be truly enlightened and delivered from all blindness of heart. Let it therefore be our chief endeavor to meditate upon the life of Jesus Christ. Already a great challenge. Let it therefore be our chief endeavor to meditate upon the life of Jesus Christ. Second point in this chapter, the teaching of Jesus Christ excels all the teachings of the saints, and he who has the Spirit will find therein the hidden manna, a reference to Revelation 2:17. But it happens that many, although they often hear the gospel of Christ, are yet but little moved by it, because they do not have the Spirit of Christ. Whoever then would fully and wholeheartedly understand the words of Christ must endeavor to conform his life entirely to the life of Christ. If you want to understand the words of Christ, you must endeavor to conform your life entirely to the life of Christ. And of course, that's what God is after. Romans 8:28 and 29. Point 3. What will you gain if you dispute learnedly on the doctrine of the Trinity if you lack humility and are thereby displeasing to the Trinity. Surely great words do not make a man holy and righteous, but a virtuous life makes him dear to God, a reference to Acts 10:35. I would rather feel contrition, he says, than to know its definition. I would rather feel contrition than know its definition. If you knew the whole Bible by heart and the sayings of all the philosophers, what would this profit you without the love and grace of God? Sounds like 1 Corinthians 13. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity except to love God and to serve him alone. Ecclesiastes 1:2 and Deuteronomy 6:13. This is the highest wisdom, to despise the world and to seek the kingdom of heaven. Matthew 6:33. We had a long intro today into our new book, so I'm going to stop here this morning. And again, there were 3 subpoints here in chapter 1 on the imitation or following of Christ and contempt of all the vanities of the world. We covered 3 out of the 5 points. We'll cover the other 2 tomorrow. And I'm ready for a challenge. I don't know about you. In the day and age in which we're living, Christians need to be following Christ. Christians need to be, no, not need, we must. We must have this desire to turn away from the world and look to Christ. Let our chief endeavor be to meditate upon the life of Jesus Christ. We're going to learn from Thomas à Kempis and his thoughts on the scriptures for the next, I don't know how long. Take blessings. I hope you're up for it. I hope you desire more than anything else that your life would be like the life of Christ. Blessings.